Have you ever noticed how some days you don't even know what you're feeling? You just know something feels off? Not sadness exactly. Not happiness either. Just this strange heaviness you can't explain. You smile. You respond. You do what you're supposed to do. But inside something feels unattended. That's usually the moment when life is quietly asking you to sit with yourself. And most of us don't. We open another app. We text someone. We distract ourselves with noise, with tasks, with productivity. Because sitting with yourself means asking a question we're not sure we're ready to answer. How am I really doing? And sometimes the honest answer scares us. Because what if the answer is I'm tired, I'm lonely, I'm confused, I'm not okay? We grow up learning how to show up for others, but no one teaches us how to show up for ourselves. So we become experts at avoiding silence, avoiding stillness, avoiding that quiet voice inside that keeps asking for attention. And here's the thing nobody warns you about. The more you avoid yourself, the louder your inner world becomes. It shows up as overthinking at night, as irritation over small things, as emotional numbness where nothing excites you anymore, as exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. That's not because you're weak. That's because you've been unheard by yourself. Sitting with yourself is the act of finally listening. It's not glamorous, it's not aesthetic, it's not always peaceful. Sometimes it feels awkward, sometimes it feels emotional, sometimes it feels like opening a door you've kept locked for too long. You sit there, and thoughts start arriving uninvited. Memories you didn't plan to think about, regrets you thought you were over, fears you've been pretending don't exist, and in those moments your instinct will be to run again. But this is where the real work begins, because the moment you stay, even when it's uncomfortable, something shifts. You realize that your thoughts aren't attacking you, they're communicating with you. That sadness isn't trying to ruin your day, it's asking for compassion. That anxiety isn't a flaw, it's a signal. Sitting with yourself teaches you emotional honesty. Not the kind you share on social media, but the kind you whisper to yourself when no one's watching. And emotional honesty is rare, because it requires courage. Courage to admit you're hurt. Courage to admit you're tired of being strong. Courage to admit that some chapters of your life need to end. Most people avoid sitting with themselves because they're afraid of what they'll discover. But what you discover isn't weakness. You discover truth. And truth, even when it's uncomfortable, is lighter than pretending. Another beautiful thing happens when you sit with yourself consistently. You stop abandoning yourself. Think about how many times you ignore your own needs just to keep peace. How often you silence your intuition because it doesn't make sense to others. How easily you prioritize everyone else's comfort over your own. When you don't sit with yourself, self-abandonment becomes normal. But when you do, you start noticing when something doesn't feel right. And instead of pushing it down, you acknowledge it. That's self-respect forming quietly. And over time, that self-respect changes how you live. You stop forcing connections that drain you. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen. You stop running toward things that cost you your peace. Not because someone told you to, but because you finally heard yourself. And here's something important. Sitting with yourself doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world. It means meeting yourself before the world gets access to you. It means grounding yourself internally so external chaos doesn't consume you. Even 5 minutes of presence can recalibrate your entire day. Just 5 minutes where you ask nothing of yourself, fix nothing, judge nothing. You just sit and exist. At first, it will feel unfamiliar, but eventually it will feel like coming home. Because the safest place you'll ever be is inside a relationship where you're allowed to be honest, and that relationship is with yourself. So if today feels heavy, if you feel disconnected, if something inside you feels unheard, don't rush to escape it. Sit with it, not to suffer, but to understand. Because the more you sit with yourself, the less you'll need the world to validate your existence. And that, quietly, is freedom. Freedom feels unfamiliar at first. It's like tasting an entirely new flavor. You savor, you question, and then you just let it be. It's about finding delight in your own company, boredom turning into creativity, loneliness transforming into solitude. Solitude is the workshop where you craft your essence. It's where you smoothen your rough edges, where you build rather than break. It's where the fragments of your soul come together in harmony, not chaos. Sitting with yourself heightens your appreciation for the mundane. That sip of tea tastes fuller. The sounds of dusk become a symphony. Every grain of rice carries its own. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on this video. And do subscribe to my YouTube channel if you feel connected with this content. Good luck and stay safe.